We hope you enjoy listening to this podcast of St. Louis on the Air, brought to you by University College at Washington University, with undergraduate and graduate programs part-time, evening, and online. University College at Washington University, offering world-class education within reach.
Midterm elections do not typically draw a heavy vote, but as the November 6th midterm approaches, a new effort is underway here to encourage voter registration and stoke voter enthusiasm, especially but not limited to low to moderate income women in North St. Louis and North St. Louis County. It's a town hall format and will include numerous female city, state, and national office holders. The Saturday event's been organized by Sandra Moore, a community organizer and managing director and chief impact officer at Advantage Capital. She joins me in studio. Wonderful to see you again.
It's good to be here, Don, and I have to tell you that I've got some co-conspirators in this effort, and they are Mary Schoolman and Lisa Zarin. And so I don't want the world to think that this has been a Sandy Moore effort alone. And then we have between us a legion of volunteers, probably up over 50 now, who have agreed to help us with this event.
You make it sound like these midterms are important.
Well, they are absolutely important. But for us, what is more important is mobilizing folks to register and vote. The participation rates among women, low to moderate income women, what I just call ordinary working folks, the participation rates among minorities, it declined significantly in 2016 after reaching some really good high numbers, not high enough, but good high 60%, creeping towards 70% participation in 2012. And so the drop-off has been precipitous, and we want to make certain that we're doing everything we can to bring those numbers back up for the purpose of the importance of engagement, civic engagement. The vote is the most powerful individual thing we have to engage as citizens.
And I was being facetious before by trying to suggest that they weren't important. Maybe the most important midterm elections in a long, long time.
They could be.
Why the drop-off?
Not sure. Mine's much smarter than me, and my colleagues, or maybe I should just speak for myself.
Sure.
Mine's much smarter than me, say there are a number of things. In low to moderate income neighborhoods and households, there seems to be some, those communities have some access barriers. So that's been studied a lot and written about a lot. Brookings has done some work on it.
Voter ID and things of that kind.
That's right.
Access to the polls.
Access to the polls. Voter ID, polling locations closing, hours of availability being shortened, or because there are fewer polling places, longer waits in line and that sort of thing. In addition to that, there seems to be evidence that there's been some education drop-off, and there's big evidence that there's been motivation or inspiration drop-off. So it is those three things: registration, availability, or improving that access point, increasing education so that if you get registered, you understand how to go and exercise your right in new and changed conditions. And then 3, motivation and inspiration, getting people fired up.
You're asking an awful lot to be accomplished in 2 hours on Saturday, late afternoon, early evening.
Yes, we are. But did you look at that powerhouse list of women who've agreed to come and participate in that?
Yeah.
And we've tried to make it as simple as possible. Again, studies say that streamlining voter registration is one way to increase participation. So this is a super streamlined event. I mean, literally, you walk in and you register. There are no lines. There is no wait time. And your registration will happen in a quiet and confident. Well, I won't necessarily say quiet, but certainly a confidential place, and your registration will be placed in a private box, and they will be delivered to the registrar's offices. So it couldn't be more simple. And then on the education piece, because we've had some changes in voter identification requirements in the state of Missouri, and we want to make certain that people clearly understand that there's going to be a strong education component. What do you need? What do you bring? And that sort of thing. And then there's Q&A, a round stage kind of Q&A, if you will, of these powerful elected women who are taking time out of their day on Saturday to say, come and talk to me. No long speeches. Tell me what is on your mind. I'm here to listen and help you to understand the power of your vote in helping me do what you want me to do.
I know I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sure you do, but I know that Senator McCaskill is going to be there, Tashara Jones is going to be there, Darlene Green is going to be there, and others. You really do have a pretty good list going, don't you? Who else is on there?
So our city comptroller, as you said, Darlene Green, our city treasurer, Tashara Jones, the most recently a woman elected state representative from our region, from District 84, Carla May, Claire McCaskill has agreed to come. We are a little worried about her getting stuck in Washington, D.C. with a vote on Judge Kavanaugh. But at this moment, Claire McCaskill, she was one of the earlier ones to sign on. Claire McCaskill signed on. State Senator Jamila Nasheed has agreed to come. Mavis Thompson, our city license collector, has agreed to come. We invited all of our elected women officials and got good response. Our mayor can't be there, but it's a scheduling issue. So that's a pretty inspiring group.
What are the volunteers going to be doing?
Volunteers will register. We have refreshments. Volunteers will monitor refreshments. Volunteers will man the education tables to answer specific questions in that education table. Again, we talk about the practicalities of voting, the length of the ballot, how to get through the ballot, what you need to bring with you. We also talk about transportation, where to call if you need a ride, all of the practicalities of now I'm registered. How do I get this done?
That was a question I wanted to ask you with regard to follow-up and getting people to the polls once they have been registered. There are opportunities for them to find a way to get to the polls?
Absolutely. We have as much information as we've been able to muster. Now, Don, there are legions of people in this community now working on this. So what we are trying to do is our little piece of the pie in the sky at the NAACP on the north side of the city, where we've seen those precipitous drops, and we're just additive. We're joining the efforts of many, many others. Launch Code, the NAACP, and the St. Louis American have been great partners with us in getting this done.
What are you able to do to ensure the election officials who ultimately will receive these registration forms that they're legitimate?
We'll deliver them. Yeah. We will deliver them. The registrar's office has their procedures for verifying the validity of them, but we're going to collect them in private collection boxes in a very public place. We're going to secure their travel from where we get them to where they go over the rest of Saturday and Sunday, and where they get delivered. We'll document all of that, with video, and then we will stand on the veracity and the integrity of what we do. I've been working in St. Louis a very long time. I will stand on my integrity to deliver what I say I'm going to deliver.
I ask that question because this is an issue that comes up from time to time about voter fraud. There aren't very many examples of voter fraud. We keep talking about it, but there aren't many examples. And that issue could be raised if these registration forms are coming from a third party, essentially.
It could be raised, but we will have a completely transparent process, and we will be very comfortable with any examination of either the process or the documents that we deliver. You just can't you can't protect against doubt in every eventuality. All we can do is the right thing for the right reason in the right processes. This process is what we've been instructed is appropriate. We have the voter registration cards, and we will follow a very transparent process, and I'm sure we'll be just fine.
Are the election boards involved at all?
What do you mean by that, Doug?
By involved in the town hall on Saturday?
They are not. The League of Women's Voters will be there. They are sending both information. They're part of our education cadre of volunteers. So they will be there, and the materials that we are using most of them have been received from and vetted by them. Your
focus is primarily on women, but what about the men and young people?
We want the men and the young people. Here's what we know. We know that when you get hardworking, ordinary women engaged and involved, they'll turn out that whole household. Mm-hmm. They will touch that entire family. And when they come and see the power that we've been able to, by voting and voting strong, assemble in these women who are leading at every aspect of our community, we believe that that's going to help on the motivation and the inspiration dip that we've seen since 2012.
Do you think that part of the reason that dip has occurred is because people feared that their voices just aren't being heard anyway, that no one is listening to them, low and middle income people, moderate income people, that they're not heard?
Yes,
yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you would ask that, because that very thinking is what led to the three of us deciding to do this. And for me, it was I frequently showed up at various civic engagement events and activities, and you write a check or you make a commitment and you visit with elected officials, and they hear you and you hear them and you feel intimately engaged. And over and over and over again, I didn't see very many women who look like me, or very many folks that look like me, or very many folks that I knew from ordinary interactions with my family and friends, and that troubled me. And I thought, why aren't ordinary folks able to talk to these elected officials, to engage with them, to feel the power and the energy that happens when you hear Tashara Jones talk about what she wants to do and why she wants to do it, or you hear a Claire McCaskill. And it was that sense of, we need to get these folks to come, these elected officials to come and talk to ordinary people, that really drove this event.
In recruiting these women who are coming, these elected officials who are going to be coming, what sort of concerns are they expressing in connection with their willingness and the need to be at an event like this?
Not a single one. Don, we rounded up this group in about 48 hours. Huh. I mean, literally, we reached out to folks in 1 or 2 days, and we had most of our answers, 90% of our answers, within 24 hours after reaching out. I mean, these are women, and even the ones who can't be here. Ann Wagner, we reached out to her office, and I'm sure it's a scheduling problem that caused her not to be able to join. Our wonderful mayor can't be there. I know it's a scheduling problem, but every one of them was immediately responsive to the idea of talking to ordinary women.
And do they say why? Why specifically they feel that this is important to them and to us?
Generally, the response is always the same. We really want engagement, and we know that women, working class women, women who are in the everyday grind of life, we know how they lead their households, and we want to talk to them, and we want to hear from them.
What is this power that you speak of that women have to mobilize and to organize?
Oh, well, don't let me overstate it now, because we know we absolutely have to have men working with us. I'm 45 years married, so I'm standing on the shoulders of men. But the power that we speak of is that these women that we reach out to, and this is across all socioeconomic groups, but it's probably particularly true in working class households. These women drive so much of the decision making across all spheres inside of the household. If there's a man there, they've got their both shoulders to the wheel, making a living. Then we've got that woman who's got to really help guide the young people who are in the household. If there's not a man there, then she's doing double duty. So these are decision makers. They're decision makers, and we want them connected to civic engagement and political engagement.
You mentioned young people, and many people are looking at the midterm election and saying they might make the difference this year. There have been a lot of issues obviously affecting young people, unfortunately most of them centering on school violence and that sort of thing. Obviously you're reaching out to young 18-year-olds and above to participate Saturday.
Yes, we are, and we've been intently engaged in the social media side. All of the women who are participating, elected officials who are participating, they've been using their social media. In addition, we've got a wonderful young volunteer that I am sure is not 25 yet, and she's our social media whiz, and she's been pushing it out. We've been specifically asking our senior women to reach into your neighborhoods and into your communities and make certain that young women and men are there.
That's an important component. Sandra Moore, thank you for telling us about this. A reminder, the event titled Voter Registration and You this Saturday at the St. Louis NAACP office on Del Mar from 3:30 to 5:30. The deadline for voter registration is soon, October 10th. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.